My name is Zhong Liziyou, a top student from a certain university in the 21st century. On the way back to school to obtain my graduation certificate, I encountered one of the only car accidents in my life. When I was crossing the road, a truck ran a red light and rushed towards me. That's how I hated the Northwest. The end of this book. Do you think I'm done with this? Exciting and beautiful, all in the book. Chapter 1. System Xixi. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 2. Rules. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I just spoke up and said, you said you are the system here. What is this place? How can I return to my world? Xixi looked at me with a face full of eagerness, as if he wished he could leave this place immediately. Suddenly, he fell silent. After seeing Xixi's silent expression, I had an answer in my heart and had already prepared for the worst. I didn't urge Xixi, but he spoke up as if he had made up his mind and said, you come here. Although there is a possibility of returning to your original world, the chance is very slim. I have been here for so long, and I haven't seen many hosts able to return to their original world. I originally had the intention of not being able to go back, but I didn't expect that there was still a possibility of being able to go back. As long as I could go back, I would have to give it a try. What if I were just one of those very vague ones? I spoke up and said, so how can I go back? You say the probability is very slim, but it doesn't mean I can't go back. Can you tell me if I really can go back? I'm willing to try whenever there's a chance. Xixi said, the host is big. If you want to go back, you need to complete the task. After completing the task, you will receive a settlement of the points earned from the task. When your points reach 100 points, there will be a mysterious gift package. I'm not sure what kind of reward there will be later, but when you earn 1000 points, you can go back to your original world. Me. As a system, how come you don't know what rewards come after? Aren't these all set by you? So how do you know what 100 points and 1000 points are? Xixi said, actually, theoretically speaking, I only know that after 1000 points, you can return to your original world. As for how many points you can get and what rewards you can get, I don't know. But before, I brought a host with me, and when her points reached 100, she received a mysterious gift package. That host was the one with the highest points I had brought. However, when her points were about to reach 200, she died in that mission, was erased, and ultimately couldn't return to her own world. After roughly understanding the rules here, I need to earn 1000 points before I can go back. I don't know what difficulty this task will be, and I don't want to say anything more to Xixi. I want to enter the task earlier so that I can complete it earlier and go back earlier. I said, Xixi, what is my task? How do I want to complete it? Xixi said, Hosta, please go to the big screen over there and take a look. Choose the name of the task you want to complete. After selecting it, press the name of that task to directly enter the task world. I looked at the direction pointed by Xixi, and there was nothing in between. Just as I was about to ask my questions, the big screen over there suddenly lit up. I followed Xixi's instructions and went to select my task. When I looked at the task name that appeared on it, I felt a bit puzzled. It looked like a novel or a TV drama, but it didn't allow me to think much. I saw a task called Evil Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter, and instinctively pressed it. I thought it would open an entrance for me to enter the task, but in my unguarded state, I was directly sucked into a place. When I was about to open my eyes, I heard chatter and arguments in my ears. Chapter 3 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 1. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 4 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 2. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I looked at this unfamiliar room, which was very small and looked like a servant's room. The decoration of the room was very simple, and a memory that didn't belong to me came to my mind. This memory looked like the memory of the original owner, and the memory of the original owner quickly flashed in my mind. Originally, the original owner's room was a pink princess's room, but later it was remembered by Zhang Mengmeng. After being instigated by Zhang Min and her daughter multiple times, Zhong Liziyou and the original owner had already developed a grudge. Zhang Mengmeng took the opportunity to point out that she couldn't sleep well at Zhong Liziyou's house, probably because of herself. The room was not as big as the original owner's room, so in just a few words, Zhong Liziyou was persuaded by the original owner to let out his room for Zhang Mengmeng to live in. Zhang Mengmeng moved into the original owner's room, thinking that the original owner could choose any room as her own. However, after Zhong Liziyou left, Zhang Min put on a hostess-like demeanor, saying that the original owner didn't even deserve to sleep in the room and was eventually banished to the field where the servant room was sleeping. Zhang Min, on the other hand, said in front of Zhong Liziyou that the original owner felt that the servant room was more comfortable and voluntarily moved to it. Zhong Liziyou believed Zhang Min's words and believed that this was the original owner's problem. He didn't bother with the original owner anymore and went with him. Lin's mother asked with concern, "Miss, how are you? Is there anything uncomfortable with you?" "Me. Mom Lin, I'm fine, I'm making you worried." Lin's mother said, it's okay, it's okay. Miss, we've all heard about your situation. I've watched you grow up, and we all believe in your character. When you have a relationship with others, there must be Miss Air's skills involved. When Madam and Miss Air first arrived, I thought they weren't good friends, and I didn't expect them to be so malicious. I know you're very sad. When such a thing happens, the master doesn't stand on your side. Although I'm just a servant of the Zhongli family and can't help you solve it, there are some things that you don't want to tell others. You can tell me. Don't stand by me in the future. People who don't want to do it will hurt themselves, I thought to myself. I never expected that at such times, only the maid at home would show kindness to me. Me. Mom Lin, I understand. Thank you. Lin's mother said, Miss, are you hungry? Should we go get you something to eat? I wanted to say no, but my stomach was not strong enough. Before I could say no, my stomach growled and I could only nod. Lin's mother wiped the tears from her eyes and said, Okay, I'll go get you something to eat. You haven't eaten anything for a day, and if you don't eat anything again, you really won't be able to endure. As she spoke, Lin Mama left with Wang Lingling on the side and went to get me something to eat. When I saw them both leave, I began to think about how to start counterattacking and help the female lead regain everything from Zhong Li's home. I still have a baby in my belly, and I don't even have a boyfriend, have a romantic relationship, or get married. It's really sad that I'm going straight to the stage of giving birth. By the way, the man who had sex with the original protagonist is a man named Lu Jingning. In the plot of the original work, after discovering that I was pregnant, there were 2 instances of suicide. Although the first one was said to be saved by Lin's mother, the original protagonist's mental state was not good at that time, so when he returned to school the next day, he heard so many rumors and couldn't bear it anymore. He never went to find that person. Men, you still need to check the details of that man first. You're not afraid that the man's background is strong enough, but you're afraid that the man doesn't have a background. But how can you check it yourself? When I began to face difficulties, I suddenly remembered the voice of Xixi in my mind. Lu Jingning, the largest family in Jinchuan, the only heir of the Lu family. He was 24 years old and had already taken over the family's business at a young age. Under his leadership, the entire Lu family underwent a qualitative leap, from a third-rate small family to the largest family. In Jinchuan, there was no one who could shake the existence. Lu Jingning was never close to women, and wherever he appeared, even a female mosquito could not approach him. After learning about Lu Jingning's background, I had an idea in my heart. The largest family in Jinchuan, this background is strong enough, so I can only try to find this person named Lu Jingning. After all, such a thing happened, both sides have responsibilities, and he is also the father of the child. He also has the right to know about this matter, but I don't know where Lu Jingning will be now. Xixi, at this point, he should be handling personal matters at the Lu family. If you want to find her, you have to wait until tomorrow morning to visit his company Hounding Group. Usually, he will arrive at the company at 8 o'clock. Chapter 5 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 3. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Lin Mama came back with the freshly made noodles, I had already fallen asleep. Lin Mama watched as I fell asleep, helped me tuck in the blanket, and then left with the noodles. When I woke up, it was already 5 o'clock the next morning. In order to block Lu Jingning, I specifically asked Xixi to give me a wake-up call service. After tidying up myself as quickly as I could, I sneaked out before anyone in my family even got up. By the time I arrived at Hounding Group, it was already 6:30 in the morning. I took a look at it and it seemed like I had to wait here for an hour and a half before I could wait for Lu Jingning's appearance. If it weren't for fear of being discovered by them, I wouldn't have suffered this kind of crime here if I had sneaked out. I would have had to wait here for an extra hour and a half. I really want time to pass quickly. I started chatting with Xixi there. Time passed little by little, and employees from Hounding Group came to work one after another. I watched the time and waited. Finally, approaching 8 o'clock, I saw an unusual car driving towards the entrance of Hounding Group. Xixi's voice reminded me in my mind. Host, please pay attention, Lu Jingning is here. After hearing the voice of Xixi, I looked towards the door of Hounding Group. A man in a suit got out of the car. Although he didn't see very clearly, I could feel that the man's temperament was very good and had the aura of a superior. As Lu Jingning was about to enter, I rushed out of the nearby bushes and blocked his way. The bodyguard on the side spoke up and said, I don't know who we are, Mr. Lu. You dare to come along his way. Are you okay? Let's leave quickly. Me. Lu is always me, I don't know if I still remember 3 months ago. As I spoke, I took off my sunglasses and revealed my beautiful face. Lu Jingning and I met each other's eyes, and we could see his facial features clearly. I didn't expect Lu Jingning's appearance to be so high, and the proportion of his facial features was divided according to the golden ratio, right? His eyes seem to have a kind of magic, and once he looks at him, it's difficult for people to take their eyes off him. No wonder there are so many beautiful women in Jinchuan who want to climb onto his bed. As long as they climb onto his bed, they can not only hold the beautiful man back, but also help their family background. Lu Jingning saw me and his face was filled with some disbelief. He didn't expect the little girl from the beginning to run over so blatantly. However, it is true that he suddenly disappeared for 3 months. No matter who one is, he will feel that he wants to run away and does not want to take responsibility, which is why he came to his door. Without saying anything, Lu Jingning pulled me straight into Hounding Group. Those who came to the office to look for her saw this scene and began whispering, what do you think this woman has to do with our CEO? The CEO still held her hand, and just like that, they shamelessly entered our company. Employee A, shouldn't this little girl be Mr. Lu's little girlfriend? But this little girl looks like she's underage. Isn't it okay for the CEO to like old cows and tender grass? But to be honest, this little girl looks pretty good, at least better than the one who comes around every day. She's Mr. Lu's childhood sweetheart, what's her name? I don't quite remember, forget it, whatever's important is that she looks better than Mr. Lu's green plums. Employee B, are you talking about Mr. Lu's green plum? I remember his name is Jian Anren, and he is indeed much more beautiful than Jian Anren. But it's not very realistic to say that this little girl is Mr. Lu's little girlfriend. It seems that this little girl is not yet of age. If you say that Mr. Lu likes this little girl, and if the little girl really has a relationship with Mr. Lu, then if the little girl regrets it later on, then Mr. Lu will have to go to court. Employee C, what kind of mess are you thinking? What if she's just Mr. Lu's sister? Don't think that the little girl is so dirty or bad, okay? When the time comes, she's really Mr. Liu's sister. If the little sister in law finds out about her like this, and she's unhappy, then tell Mr. Liu that if you're unemployed, it's a nail on the board. It's better not to say such things. The employees who were watching the commotion had already started gossiping, and only those who followed Mr. Liu or those who had not yet started work didn't know what had happened. Chapter 6 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 4. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. I was taken to his office by Lu Jingning, who asked the bodyguards following him to leave. In the end, there were only me and him left in the office, and neither of us spoke up first. Lu Jingning looked at me from top to bottom, and to be honest, Lu Jingning has not been able to take a good look at me yet. After Lu Jingning tried to speak up several times but did not speak up. Finally, Lu Jingning asked, "What's your name? How old are you this year?" I can feel that when Lu Jingning asked me these two questions, I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. I didn't dare to look at him either. To be honest, if it weren't for his beautiful appearance that people could remember his appearance at a glance, for someone like me with facial blindness, it wouldn't take me 3 to 5 minutes. I really don't remember what he looks like, but for some reason, his face gives me a feeling that I can't forget after seeing him once. Has the disadvantage of having facial blindness disappeared in my original world? I slowly spoke up and said, "My name is Zhong Liziyou. I just turned 18 years old this year and have reached adulthood." After hearing my answer, Lu Jingning finally let go of his suspended heart and murmured to himself, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's an adult cub." I pretended not to hear his voice and continued, "Uncle, I'm pregnant." Lu Jingning heard my way of addressing him and originally wanted to correct my way of addressing him, but then his words exploded and left him in place, leaving him completely stunned. After Lu Jingning calmed down, he continued, "Did you go to the hospital for a check-up? The hospital said you were pregnant, right?" I only realized when I heard Lu Jingning's words. Oh, I forgot to go to the hospital in a hurry. I didn't dare to go to the hospital before because I was afraid of being discovered by my family and leaving medical records in the hospital. But now they have completely known about it, so there is no need to worry about leaving medical records because of this. Moreover, there is nothing more convincing than a pregnancy test report now. Me. A few days ago, I didn't dare to go to the hospital for fear of being discovered by my family, but I bought a pregnancy test rod and it showed 2 stripes on it. After hearing my words, Lu Jingning immediately held my hand and hurriedly walked out. The employees in the company had already lost their energy of gossiping and had entered a working state. Now, as they watched Lu Jingning holding my hand and passing in front of them, the flames of gossiping began to burn again. Employee 1. If I hadn't misread earlier, did Mr. Liu lead that girl out again? Mr. Liu seems very anxious. Did something happen? Employee 2. I also saw it. It seems that Mr. Liu is very anxious. But I have a premonition that this may be related to our Mr. Liu's life. Employee 3. No, right. But when I saw that little girl, it seemed like she wasn't even an adult. I just heard them say it seemed like this little girl was Mr. Liu's sister. I hadn't seen what the little girl looked like before, but now when I see her, I don't think she looks like Mr. Liu either. Employee 4. Just now, the front desk said that Mr. Liu personally drove the little girl out. Looking at the little girl sitting in the passenger seat, I remember Mr. Liu's passenger seat is never open to people. Why would Mr. Liu still give this little girl his passenger seat? Does he really have any relationship with Mr. Liu? The fire of gossip, which had finally calmed down, began again. Continuing to gossip, every time you say something, I don't know which one is true or which one is false. After a while, the department manager came over and heard the commotion in the office, shouting angrily, "Are you here to work or to gossip? Go home and gossip. What does it sound like to make a fuss here? Is asking you to come to work for gossip." It's for you to work hard and create benefits for the company. You're gossiping here. Can it create any benefits for the company? If any of you dare to talk nonsense about things unrelated to work here again, then please get out of here and don't waste resources. After the department manager scolded him, he left. The whole office was surprisingly quiet after leaving. No one continues gossiping. But instead, they changed to a form of gossip, and they built a small group to chat about Lu Jingning's gossip. Chapter 7 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 5. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 8 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 6. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lu Jingning's words caught me off guard. I don't know what kind of mentality he was in when he said such things to me, but I hope he genuinely wants to live with me for the rest of his life, rather than taking responsibility for the sake of responsibility. After all, it was in this situation that I came together with him. In the future, if there are other women who want to obtain the so-called position of Mrs. Lu, they will also take responsibility for Lu Jingning in the same way. It is also obvious what kind of fate I will have, and I have openly expressed my inner thoughts to him. Lu Jingning said, "You can rest assured that this kind of thing will happen again. Mrs. Lu's position will only belong to you. As long as you agree, we will immediately go and obtain the certificate." I hesitated for a long time, but in the end, I don't remember how I nodded and agreed to go with him to get the certificate. When I reflected back, we had already obtained the certificate, and Lu Jingning handed me one of the marriage certificates. Lu Jingning glanced at my name on the marriage certificate. For some reason, he always felt that the name seemed familiar, and he didn't remember where he had seen or heard it. Lu Jingning took me to the villa where he usually lives and said, "This is where I live. You will live here in the future. If you have anything missing or any discomfort, you can tell me and I will arrange it for you." I asked, "Which room do I stay in?" "My room is the first room on the left side of the staircase on the second floor. If you don't want to live in the same room as me, except for the room I just mentioned, you can choose any one of the remaining rooms on the second floor yourself." He also told me about the general layout of this building, where the kitchen is located, the bathroom is located, the study, balcony, and the entrance to the backyard. He explained in detail, and I also took note of each one. Fortunately, my memory is quite good. He said it once, and I took note of it. To be honest, Lu Jingning is also very careful. He even told me where the toilet paper is when he was young. After he told me about the complete layout of the house, he then asked, "By the way, when you were in the company, you told me you were only 18 years old, so according to your age, you should still be studying at school. So, which school are you studying at now? Don't you have to attend classes today? If necessary, I'll have the driver take you to school later." I was in my third year of high school at St. Blue High School, and I took a day off today, so I didn't go to school. After hearing my words, Lu Jingning didn't say anything more. After checking the time, it was getting late and there was still a pile of mess to clean up in the company. She said, "Since there's nothing else to do, I'll go back to the company first. Later, I'll have Aunt Lu cook something for you and bring it over. Do you have any taboos?" "Me. I don't eat cilantro." "Okay, I understand." After speaking, Lu Jingning left and even instructed Aunt Lu to make me a meal and bring it over. Aunt Lu watched as a strange little girl suddenly moved in, looking like an underage. She didn't know what kind of relationship she had with the young master. She wasn't a talkative person, so she didn't ask much. I sat on the sofa while Aunt Lu was busy in the kitchen. By the time Aunt Lu came over with the prepared noodles, I had already fallen asleep on the sofa. Aunt Lu called me a few times but didn't respond, so she had to give up. Feeling a little helpless, she sighed and went to the room to get a blanket to cover me. She saw that I slept soundly and didn't want to disturb me. Chapter 9 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 7. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Lu Jingning returned in the evening, I was still sleeping on the sofa. The noodles that Aunt Lu had prepared were placed on the coffee table, and she had never touched her chopsticks. Obviously, this little girl has been sleeping since noon and has not woken up yet. Lu Jingning now realizes how thin I am, obviously with a look of long-term malnutrition. It's hard for Lu Jingning to imagine what kind of days I used to live at home. Lu Jingning dialed his assistant's phone and asked them to investigate my situation for him. The assistant didn't hesitate to answer Lu Jingning's call and began investigating. Lu Jingning carried me back to my room to rest, only to find that my weight was even lighter than I had imagined. Just as Lu Jingning put me down and was about to leave, my hand suddenly grabbed his hand, and I said vaguely, "Don't go. Mom. Don't go. Don't leave me alone. I miss you so much." I caught Lu Jingning's hand and he couldn't even leave. While I was talking in my sleep, tears began to uncontrollably slide from the corner of my eyes. Lu Jingning gently caressed my cheek and said, "I won't leave, you can sleep peacefully." He also wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes for me. At that moment, Lu Jingning's phone rang and he glanced at the news. It was just that the assistant had just finished the task. After seeing the news on his phone, Lu Jingning's face gradually darkened. It was also the first time he had seen that his stepmother's malice could be so vicious, and he spared no effort to provoke public opinion in order to achieve his goal. He broadcasted such despicable and unpleasant words to an 18-year-old girl, and she was also the mother of a child. If someone else had spread such words to her child, how could she be like an old hen protecting her calf? After replying to a message to her assistant, Lu Jingning put away her phone and had a good night's dream. When I woke up, it was already the next morning. When I woke up, I saw a figure next to me. When I first saw it, I was startled and almost screamed. But I also quickly calmed down. If I remember correctly, I did indeed obtain a certificate from Lu Jingning yesterday. It should be normal for him to appear here, and I don't know when he came back last night. No, I remember I didn't sleep here yesterday. Why did you wake up here this morning? I looked up at Lu Jingning and thought about his face. I thought he hadn't woken up yet, but to my surprise, he spoke up and said, "Child, is this waking up?" I just realized that he had already woken up. Didn't he know I was peeking at him? I was still thinking about how to pretend to be dead, but his gaze was too hot for me to dodge. "Child, I remember you were going to school today. It's getting late, so you need to get up and go to school quickly." Lu Jingning spoke to me in a soothing tone. I really cursed him 1,000 times in my heart, and I really want to say that without mentioning my school, we are still friends. Well, even though we are not friends, why is that strange? I retracted the sentence I just said, and then I will say it again. We are still husband and wife. Lu Jingning looked at me and ignored him, asking, "Child, what's wrong with you? What is your expression?" After careful consideration, I finally said, "Uncle, can I not go to school? I don't want to go to school anymore." Lu Jingning. If you don't go to school, how can you get into a good university? Is that okay if I don't go to school? Is it okay if I self-study at home? I just don't want to go to school, and things about me may have already spread in school, so I can't continue to stay in school. I can self-study. When the college entrance examination comes, I will go and take it. Don't let me go to school again, okay? Uncle. Chapter 10 Entering the World. Malicious Stepmother and Her Stepdaughter 8. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lu Jingning was a bit unsure about what to do, but after considering for a while, she finally agreed. It's true that she's from a young girl's family, and she had a relationship with someone as soon as she reached adulthood. In school, she's not sure how to get talked about, so it's better not to go to school. At least the child in her belly can still be safe. Lu Jingning said, "I can promise you this, but you have to guarantee that your grades won't end." My little 9 out of 9 in my heart. It can't be a crane tail, isn't that why I want to get first place in my grade? This is not an easy thing to do, and besides, in my original world, I am still a top student from a certain university. I have already mastered all these contents. Isn't it easy to get into a university? But I can't directly tell him, can I? If I say I can self-taught and become successful, I'm afraid he won't believe me, right? Is it difficult for him to spend money on me and hire a tutor? I'm not related to him, he probably won't agree, right? Xixi's voice suddenly appeared in my mind. The host is big, can't you have some confidence in the male lead? What if someone really agrees to hire a tutor for you but doesn't succeed? Besides, who isn't Lu Jingning? Lu Jingning is the heir of the largest family in Jinchuan, and the CEO of Haoning Group. Would he care about this small amount of money? What do you think he is? Is it appropriate for you to have some confidence in your man? Believe in your man, it won't harm you. After an ideological education in Xixi, I admit that it was my fault to be petty and use a petty heart to treat a gentleman's stomach, but I will make it again next time. I said, then I promise not to embarrass you, I will definitely get into a prestigious university. Lu Jingning looked at me with an obvious disbelief and said, forget it, I'll hire a tutor for you. Later, I'll contact my assistant and ask him to find a gold medal tutor for you. If you don't know anything or don't understand, you can ask. Xixi's voice rang out in my mind again. Look, the host is big. I've already said, how could Lu Jingning care about such a little money? If the CEO of Haoning Group cannot afford this amount of money, wouldn't he be laughed at? After listening to Lu Jingning's words, I still have some aversion to hiring a tutor. To be honest, I really don't want any tutoring. Lu Jingning looked at me as if she could see my resistance, as if she was just talking to herself. Then she continued, if you don't want to hire a tutor, it's okay, then I'll personally tutor you. I looked at him as if I hadn't heard him asking me for tutoring. I asked, Uncle, are you going to tutor me personally? But aren't you still going to work? Where did you have time to tutor me? Lu Jingning. So I can assume that you mean to hire a tutor, right? Me. No, don't ask for tutoring. I can learn on my own. Lu Jingning looked at me and said, since you don't want to be a tutor, then you want me to be your tutor. Okay, I'll call my assistant later and ask him to deliver the documents to my home. I'll work from home. I have nothing to say. In order for me to study hard, is he not even planning to take the company? If his company employees found out, wouldn't they say I'm a fox spirit? They wouldn't even go to work because of me. But even if I say more, Lu Jingning refuses to listen and insists on working from home. He calls his assistant directly in front of me, delivers the necessary documents to his home, and also prepares 3-year and 5-year simulation of the college entrance examination for every course in his senior year. He also needs to send relevant books for preparing for the college entrance examination. I heard what Lu Jingning said, and I cursed him millions of times in my heart. I really convinced this old six. Is he really coming? After Lu Jingning finished the phone call and was about to say something, I fainted in front of him.